Let's talk about fire people. So this is going to be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And in the previous video, we talked about fire moons and suns being awakeners. And the moon being what you do with yourself, the sun being what you do with other people. So when we think about awakenings, I love there's a lot of questions. What does that even mean? Isn't awakening the same as healing? And I really appreciate that question because yes, I do think that awakening and healing have a lot of overlap. There is nuance in the process and the way that we arrive at this same place that our souls are all headed. And when we think about the pacing, that's where it stands out the most. An awakening is a flash in the pan, epiphany moment. The veil is lifted, everything is different. And then there's integration happening on the other side of that versus healing for the earth people, which is going to be a more paced, slow and steady integration along the way type of process. So I hope that helps to create some of the distinction between awakening and healing. And speaking of pacing, fire moves fast. It is the fastest moving. It is has the most force. I read in one of my books, it's the speedboat, not the sailboat. So if you think about a speedboat, it is beelining, it is forcing itself through the waves, and it's moving very, very fast. Again, for the energy healers, fire moves up and out. Like think about fire in the belly, and it's going to move up and out. And it's alchemical, right? It's changing something. That fire is the change maker, the transformers, the alchemists. And there's something so brilliant. There's so much passion. Some would say intense, maybe, but I like to say passion. There's a lot of passion with fire. And so when we think about what does it even mean to like awaken oneself? And I like to break it down more individually through the modes. So if we think about Aries as a cardinal fire, this is the initiator igniting the fire, right? Like it's a spark, it's the match. And just like we know, a fire on a match cannot stay on that match, right? Because it just goes out. So take this metaphor, play with it if you want to, toss it if it doesn't work. But do we need to take that match and light it under something else to create the fire? Or are you someone who just gets these little sparks of inspiration and ideas, and over time, these little sparks and flashes are the thing that are creating the awakenings and the transformation internally for you? And then we can move over to Leo, which is fixed fire, which I love. It's the campfire. So where a campfire is the center of the circle, right? Everyone is staring and gazing at the campfire. Fireplaces are typically in the middle of the wall, historically the center of the house. They radiate the heat and warmth out. This is a fire that can hold. This is a fire that you can continue to feed, and it will just keep going and going and going if you continue to feed it. But what you feed it changes quickly, right? So there's a rapid pace, a vigilance that's needed to keep this fire going. And then we also have Sagittarius, which is the wildfire. It is moving, it's traveling, it's exploring, and it's leaving everything behind it changed and different. So play with those and think about for yourself. You think about Sagittarius, just go, this is immersion learning. There's an excitement there. Something that travels across all of fire is truth and honesty. Aries is so motivated for authenticity. It doesn't care what it has to bulldoze down, no constraints, no boundaries around them. They are going to be authentic, and that is a driving need. And if an Aries isn't getting to express authentically, there's a lot of stress and pressure that builds around that. And then Leo is the lion heart, the noble heart. So much integrity, comes with that sign. And so this motivation for self-transformation to stay in integrity with oneself. And then Sagittarius, the centaur shooting the arrow to the stars. in pursuit of higher truth and higher knowledge and, you know, philosophy and what does it mean to be here and to be a human. And yeah, and so I love that is a vein that kind of travels through all of fire. And, you know, we think about the moon, what we're doing with ourselves. Are we lighting a fire within ourselves for change? Or is our soul or personality, you know, out there mixing and mingling with other people in the world? Are we lighting a fire under other people and helping them through that process? And there was another comment that I really liked too that said, isn't it arrogant to think that we awaken other people? And while, yes, I do not suggest that you go forcing awakenings on anybody. I think that will get you in some really hot water. I do believe that our presence impacts those around us. We are herd animals. Our nervous systems sync up. How and who we are does impact those who are in space with us. And so sometimes, you know, just by witnessing our own growth, other people are motivated into their own growth. Sometimes, like lighting a fire under someone, perhaps we motivate someone for growth by triggering them. Maybe we are the crisis or the villain in their stories, and that's part of the process, which is very, very uncomfortable. And again, when we come back to, am I coming from a place of integrity? You know, am I showing up, you know, with a loving and kind energy? You know, or am I causing harm? If we're causing harm, yeah, let's stop and talk about that. That's not okay if we're harming people. But if someone is just triggered by who we are, you know, that release of them and their sovereignty to have their own experience with that. And that might just be the thing that is a catalyst for their growth. Okay. And so some suggestions for fire people to get in touch with their moon or their sun, whatever kind of territory you are exploring. I like to think about the heat. You know, what are things that we do, you know, for the heat? Is it being in a steam room? Is it doing hot yoga? I love, for fire moons, breath of fire, you know, the pumping of the diaphragm. Ego Eradicator, that Kundalini Kriya for breath of fire is fantastic. You can Google that if you're curious about it. But that's building the fire in the body and then completing the loop with the fire. You know, being outside with the warm sun on your face. Fire gazing, you know, doing a meditative or contemplative practice of staring into the flames can be another really beautiful way to help that moon feel connected or to feel secure, to feel at home within yourself so that you can grow that fruit, because you cannot pick fruit from a fruitless tree. You must grow that fruit yourself, and then you have it to offer to others if they choose to pick it. Okay, I hope this was helpful. And share your experience of fire, moon, and sun. I love reading in the comments what you guys have to say about all of this. I love witnessing you guys helping each other out in the process as well. Even the comments that are like, this is totally whack and you don't know what you're talking about, that is so welcome too. I love to read all of it. So yeah, I promise that a rising sign video is coming, and I am working on that for you guys. So we're going to take, you know, the moon is what you do with yourself first in order to access your gifts, to be with other people, what you do with other people, your sun, and then we're going to tie in the rising sign to add that next layer of personalization to it. Because as you know, with astrology, it's so fiercely personal, right? There's so much going on in your chart that it's impossible to take these really blanket statements and say, this applies to everyone, because there is nuance to all of this. And so taking what resonates and tossing what doesn't, that you are your own healer. You do not need an astrologer, a therapist, you know, a guru to tell you anything that you don't already know with what's within you. I mean, this is all just a process of remembering, right? Remembering to bring things back into connection and wholeness, the member. Okay, I'll leave you here and I will be back soon.